All right, we're going to start the meeting now. We won't have quorum, but that's fine. We can still have some discussion. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 4:39 p.m.
Yep.
Start with the territorial acknowledgement. Respectfully acknowledge that the Sfss is located on the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, including the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. Unceded means that these territories have never been handed over, sold, or given up by these nations, and we are currently situated in occupied territories. We're now going to move on to attendance. Computer science is not currently in attendance. In engineering science,
Alvin's here, he, him, and needs are met.
thank you. We've received regrets from Holly Sai. Science, I'm here. My name is Zaid Laurie. He, him, his. My access needs are met. Disability and Neurodiversity Alliance.
Serena, she hers. Accessibility needs. My internet is just bad, so I have to have my camera off.
All right, no problem. Okay, we're going to move on to adoption of the agenda. 4.1, be it resolved to adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, we're going to move to vote. Actually, we need to first, we need a mover and a seconder. Would anyone like to move this motion?
Move.
Alvin moves. Would anyone like to second?
I'll second.
Serena, second. Thank you. Seeing no discussion, we'll move to vote. Seek unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion carries. We're now going to go on to our discussion items. First of all, 5.1, online voting services. So, yeah, basically, we're just going to come back to what we discussed last time regarding some kind of voting platform for council, for making it really clear for voting on motions and for elections and things. Yeah, have you guys looked at anything? Any ideas? I mean, I looked a bit into the Discord one. There's the possibility of using bots and things, but yeah, like that is one area that we can use. I saw the bot. I didn't really look at how it's implemented, but
Yep.
Yeah.
List. Are we doing Robert's rules?
No, you can just talk.
Yeah. So this is actually the one Helen sent last meeting, and we actually used this in the CFES, the engineering organization. We use that for voting, and I asked our VP external. He said the chair knew the total amount of votes, so he could add it up to see if there were extras. I'm assuming you would have to do that every meeting to see how many people there are. And then if people join in and out, that's another thing. So that's really the only bad part about it. But if you had a naming scheme, that'd be good. And usually in these meetings, we had about like 40 people, and then I believe we reached that amount as well. So using the option I sent in the chat, if it works for CFES, it should work for us as well. So this one's probably very doable.
Let me check it out here.
Yeah. We could do like a test run.
Yeah, we can do a test run on this and just see how it works.
Yeah, and then my VP external suggested this.
So by name format, does he mean that when we have people, I guess, log in on there to use a name or something, like some kind of identification?
Yeah, so for CFES specifically, we list it by school. So SFU, UBCO, U of A. We could do similar for departments. So like ESSS, DNA, SUS, and all that. And then that way, if you see like 2 ESSS, for example, you know something's up. And at the same time, if there's dissents and if there's abstains, I think you can see who voted for what, and you can ask if they wanted it to be noted in the minutes, and all that. So this would, and Helen suggested this one in the first place. So I think this one's a good option if our other organization uses it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit easier in the sense that we can just, put the link in the chat, right? Just how we did here, and have everyone click on it.
Mhm.
And then everyone can log in using whatever department they represent. I mean, it shouldn't take too long, I guess, for me to look down the list and just note who's present from which DSUs, and then kind of cross-reference it and see who's voted and who hasn't yet.
Mhm. Oh yeah, since you do roll call in the beginning, forgot about that. Although if we were to extend this past to say the AGM, even though we're not in charge of that, I'm not sure if this would be doable.
Yeah, with the AGM, it's interesting. I don't know what, like when they do, like when they do referendums, right? They usually do it online through SFU mail, but they wanted to change some of the mechanisms with, because like I can't remember specifically, but Gabe was saying something regarding like how you can only vote for specific options or something. Like they wanted to have and not some other options available. Like there was something that wasn't working with them, so they're looking at options, and they said that they'll share their findings with us, I guess. But this one should work, I guess, for us. I mean, we can do a trial run and just like test it out, play with it a bit. Yeah, we can try that out. Maybe I can post in the Discord and things. We can just play around with it. But it's great. Thank you for that. Serena, have you found anything, any kind of learning platform, anything in mind? Serena? All right. So yeah, when it comes to this, I mean, this website that I guess that Helen showed us here, I'm thinking maybe then for our next meeting with everyone else, then we can I'll set up something and we can play around with it, see how it works. And it's just a test. And then, I mean, I don't know if we would do a test with like the full council or not. I mean, we can run it with one motion and see how it goes, and then I'd make sure to move to adopt it later.
Oh yeah, we could set aside time like during the meeting to be like, hey, this is a test motion and all that. I think our organization did that as well to get everyone familiarized and all that. So it shouldn't take too long.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's an idea that we can go with. I'm not sure. Do you think it's a good idea to do it at this next meeting that we have next week, or should we get everyone else involved when we have another governance meeting with everyone in attendance?
What motions do we have next week, you think? If we have like a bunch, we should roll it out then. But if it's just classic adjournment and start and adoption, it should be okay.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, I guess. Like there's the agenda is pretty basic for next meeting. Like the only motion we'll discuss later, but we were going to bring that motion that Ryan brought up at the last meeting about the council's accounts and things being underneath the chair, like that I'd have all ownership over them, and then I try person. So that's one motion. The motion to give that seat to the SCSS, and then I think it's just discussion items outside of that.
Okay. Entirely up to you. I think I guess in the proper order of things, we could say, hey, council governance committee wants to use this tool, and we could test it out there, like at this meeting, but not actually use it, and then bring it for I guess our next meeting's September. Our next meeting September, so we can bring it out then.
As a motion to formally adopt it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll look into maybe doing a test then next week.
hmm
Just
And
do the motions ahead of time.
yeah, in terms of Robert's rules, if that's what you're concerned with, I could double check how our other organization did it. This is all I can base off of, because this is also, they're also like a 40-50 people organization, or 40-50 voting people. So we can draw lots of parallels from them. Yeah.
That's great though. It's good that you have that info right from them. So it'd be great to kind of get an idea. Because like when it comes to Robert's rules, I'm not 100% sure what the procedure is for online voting and stuff. I mean, we had to adapt quite a bit of stuff to online meetings. I mean, I wasn't here when meetings were in person, so I don't know a whole lot with like the differences. But we've had to make some adaptations. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get back to me on that, if there's anything specific that they do when it comes to vote using these online voting platforms, would be great.
Yeah. Let me write down a reminder for that. Ask CVS rules how they pull this. Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Is there any other questions?
Oh yeah. We'll just send a message in the Discord chat about what we discussed, and then they can do their approvals and all that, or rather, we can get their opinions.
Okay. Yeah, we can pull everyone in there.
Yeah.
Regarding this website, see how they like it, bring it to the next meeting as a test, and then hopefully adopt it at the meeting afterwards. That's good. I might also just try to test out the Discord one. I'm going to bring in a bot or something and see how that runs with everyone. Okay. Maybe get people to vote on some things, and then we can compare the both of them and see which one we like most. Because I think we do have everyone in the Discord, but I mean, the issue is that we just need everyone to have to go into the Discord on their phone or laptop vote and stuff. So there might be a bit of issue with that.
Yeah, either one works. I'm on Discord and on my computer, and for me anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, there are people that use it, but there are also quite a few that don't. I mean, they only really made an account because they mandated everyone to join the Discord.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yes. Serena, anything you want to say on this? That's fine. You got a phone call, and yeah, Helen's option's pretty good, but do you have any discussion, anything else you guys want to say on this topic?
I don't think so. I checked both with both the Discord, because we use that one for DNA sometimes, and the one that Helen provided. And I think they're both good options.
Okay, cool. So we'll go forward then with testing them, potentially at the next meeting, see how we can set that up. I'll probably set it up maybe I'll set it up for the SCSS one, because I know that one is not going to be like it's not going to be contested most likely. So it'll be a pretty simple motion to pass, and then we can just see how it stacks up and how it all works out, just as a test. But yeah, seeing no more discussion on this item, we're going to move to the next one, 5.2, the SFS's bylaw reform. So yeah, I've been going to the board governance committee meetings, right? So I've been involved in this. You know, we've been having discussions regarding. So the committee has formally made a recommendation is making a formal recommendation to the board to. What was the word for it? To basically to stand behind, or to support basically this new model that we're looking at, where council is like the governance body, legal body of the SFSS. So they basically voted, and then it was unanimously passed to recommend it, and then the board at their next meeting is going to hopefully pass that in support of making this new model. But again, something that was brought up was just that if we move to this, right, there's going to be a big change in responsibilities and things. I mean, counselors are going to become, their responsibilities are going to increase. basically the portfolios for the faculty reps and at-large reps are going to be spread out among council, essentially. So whatever their portfolios are, I mean, the things that they do on behalf of their faculties and stuff, that's going to be our work then, to also populate the board committees and stuff. We're going to be needed everywhere there. So it's a big change. And I mean, it's kind of hard to gauge how committed people are to this and if people really understand the kind of change that we're making. So I mean, I guess I want to hear your guys' thoughts about it. Like, do you think this is something that we should be going forward with? I mean, we spoke about it earlier. I can't remember which option we voted for, but like, if we do change to this, right, there's going to need to be a lot of big changes to council to formalize the elections process, to outline the responsibilities to everyone, and then it's going to change quite a bit from how things are run right now.
Could I have a few comments?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I was council rep 2 years ago, and then this is my second time being council rep. And seeing 2 years ago versus now, it's amazing how much we're doing now versus 2 years ago. So props to everyone that like brought responsibility up. But at the same time, I still find it somewhat confusing as to our own position at the moment because of the way we're doing things. Like, we're supposed to be an advisory board to the board, and the board can listen to us. Keyword can. So it's really a weird position, even though we have like every single department in our organization, and that brings the most like light into different opinions. So I just think moving forward with what the board is proposing is probably the best way to go, because it's very confusing as to what council actually does. And then we can make it clear with the new bylaw review.
Right. Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, there's basically two changes we're proposing, right? One change that we could do would be just basically solidifying council's ability to provide oversight to the board. So like, in the sense that council would remain as it is right now, but we would increase the ability to call referendum and some smaller kind of powers. But if we go all the way with making council above the board, then our responsibilities change because we'll become the legal entity.
Mm-hmm.
Means that we'll be handling a lot more things, a lot more items. We'll have to be meeting much more. We'll essentially become the board, and then we will delegate specific responsibilities to the smaller executive committee, which is going to be like 6 to 8 people, who will then kind of function a bit like how the executives right now do, the directors, but we will be taking on more responsibility. I mean, it's just, I'm thinking like, how do we, because right now the council's not known very well by everyone. I mean, there's not a whole lot of interest in the council, and it's just it's a bit difficult to gauge like how willing people would be to take on more responsibility. Though this would be after, it would be like next term. It would be after these elections when we probably implement it. But right, it's kind of a bit confusing there to see, will people be really interested in taking on this responsibility of being the board, right? But it's a big group of people that are going to be taking on more responsibilities, counselors.
On that note, sorry, just formulating my words. Yeah, so in the case where council becomes the actual legal entity, what I was thinking, what if some of the board members became part of the council and then have like a voting power? So then there's a little bit of direction there, because the board or board executives would 100% know what to do, and then they would guide us if they were in council as well.
I mean, so when we implement this will be after the next elections happen. So it'll be, we don't know for sure who's going to be in the next board.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, in the case of
But basically, everyone will be a part of council. Council will be big, so will be the board, right?
mhm.
Everyone will all be voting members of council, but then council will elect, I think is what we're looking at, is that council will elect, say, 6 to 8 people from council to then take on the executive position of running the day-to-day tasks.
Oh.
So
Mhm.
so basically the executives would, like, the board we have right now, they would be part of council. They'd be voting members of council.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing.
But yeah, I'm getting a bit off track. I mean, something I wanted to announce. I got an email from Gabe. This is something else that they passed at their last meeting. Is actually Gabe struck a working group. Yeah, so he essentially, a working group is like an informal group that works on a specific task. I mean, you won't be using Robert's rules or anything. It's more for discussion and to get more into the details of things. So he sent out an email. He wants to strike this working group in joint with the council's. So it'll be board's governance committee. They're striking it in joint with council's governance and council's oversight committees.
Mhm.
So he just wanted me to make it aware to you guys that this is a thing now. So it's going to be meeting on Mondays at 2:30 to 4:30. It's not like a formal thing. I mean, you don't need to attend every meeting or anything. It's entirely up to you. It's more that it just to have more discussion informally, that he's having it like this. So basically, he wanted me to just reach out to you guys, and then Helen will reach out to the oversight committee members, and then let you guys know that this is something that's happening, right? And he wants to have some counselors in part of this.
Yeah.
So let me just read. Yeah, so he's hoping to have the first meeting next Monday at 2:30. I think it's 2:30 to 4:30.
Is that August 17 or 24?
17th.
I should be able to make it.
But yeah, if you're interested, then I'll send him your email so you can be kept up with updates, and then it's up to you whether you are able to attend and how much you want to contribute. It's just an informal group basically to discuss these things. But we do need to have counselors on there so that, because that's really the point, is he wants to consult us with all of this. So, and also to kind of lessen the burden on the board's governance committee and then our governance committee, instead of having us both separately keep going on over the same stuff regarding the bylaw review, having this joint group where we can just meet, discuss it, and then do our own separate, work on both of our committees.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot to do this year. I mean, we need to outline some policies and things. I mean, if this goes through though with the bylaw review, like if we're actually doing this, then I mean, it's going to kind of change. All the council's policies are going to change then. So I'm not too sure how that's going to work out, but we do have other things that need to be attended to right now regarding, I think, council, like how to remove counselors, I think is something that was a bit urgent, and then how to do this voting mechanism, those kinds of things. But yeah, again, just so Serena also knows, Monday, August 17th at 2:30 to 4:30, this is going to be the first meeting. These are informal, so it'll be just a Zoom call. Everyone will just chat on some items that Gabe has, and then just to flesh out some ideas and kind of look at all the details of how would this really work out in practice, changing over to this new governance model. But yeah, if you guys are interested though, I'll send them over your emails.
Yeah, could you add my email?
All right, I'll send them your email.
Yeah, you can add mine too. I think I got the Google invite already though.
Oh, you did? I'll just make sure.
Okay.
And then I'm going to speak to Ryan about this as well later on. Yeah, it's actually, it's pretty interesting. I mean, the board committees have been on, like looking at the actual details, it's kind of interesting to look at how we would actually transition to this model. But it'd be great to have other counselors on there as well, because as I am kind of new to this, I don't know a whole lot of what things look like from the counselor's perspective right now, because I took over as chair in my first or second meeting, right? So it's going to be, we really do need people who have been here a bit longer, I guess, to give their opinions. But that's kind of it right now for the bylaw review. We'll get more up to date and caught up with it once people attend this working group.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to say regarding this item?
I have one more question if you
Yep.
know about it. So they mentioned they probably want to remove faculty reps. Are they thinking of removing faculty reps or moving them to a different, I guess, hierarchy? Are they just really getting rid of faculty reps overall?
I mean, so if council becomes the board, then it's kind of redundant to have a faculty of science rep when we already have, I guess, myself from SUS and then all of the different science DSUs. So basically their portfolio, right, whatever responsibilities they have will then fall onto the DSUs and faculty reps that are faculty student union reps on council.
Okay, because in applied sciences case, we don't have a student union because we're pretty independent of each other. So we would have to vote on our own faculty of applied sciences rep, for example. Just something to keep in mind.
So for faculty of applied sciences, I mean, which DSUs would fall underneath that? Like
Yeah, so
engineering?
it'd be engineering. It'd be MSE, which is a separate one. Then now it's C, so sustainable engineering. So there's 3 engineerings. And then there's computer science, which Ryan is part of, and there's software systems, which is Quince.
Yeah, so essentially the portfolio for the applied science rep, I guess their portfolio would then fall onto the DSUs that you listed out. So
Yeah,
then,
so we would have to vote on our own because we don't have a overarching
I
student
mean, you
union.
don't
Yeah.
necessarily need an overarching like representative, like how the SUS is here. I mean, I don't know a whole lot, honestly, regarding what faculty reps actually do, to be totally honest. I mean, I assume that they're just there to represent a voice for their respective faculty to the board and to bring issues, right? So, I mean, that is something that we can just have each DSU then bring up. If there's any issues that a DSU sees within either their faculty or their department, then they can bring that up into council, and then that'll be addressed that way, right? I mean, looking at it, I don't 100% know what they do that we don't necessarily already do in council, bringing up issues and discussing them, right? It's more that the faculty reps there are supposed to be just representative, I guess, of their faculty, and then they work in committees and on specific problems that say in their faculty, right? But those problems can be brought up by department student unions and then discussed at council anyways.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Right, so like applied science brings up issues that say affect all of applied science, right? I'm sure that the engineering and the different DSU reps can come together and bring that issue up themselves as well to council, right? So I don't think we need to have an overarching like representative, unless there's like an applied science student society or something comes up sometime, right?
We've tried. It's so funny, but yeah, just curious.
Yeah, it has a great acronym there. Yeah. So any other questions? Anything else? Comments? Good. Serena?
I don't think so. I think it'll be interesting trying to get counselors to take on more responsibility because it's already hard to get counselors part of like committees and things.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be good though, because I know like last semester or the semester before, like people were like, what does council do? And then council tried to do something with the subspace issue, and then their board was like, yeah, no.
Mhm.
And that created an issue. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a good move, good change.
Yeah, it is definitely something that I support, right? And I think it's a great way forward. I mean, obviously, it's just my concern is whether counselors will be, I guess, committed or be responsible and uphold their new duties if that will be allocated to them. Because right now we don't have something, I mean, this is getting off topic again, but something that we'll have to look at is figuring out how we can formalize and kind of create a new way of electing people to council so that we don't have people changing at different times. So it might be we have elections to council before or after the elections for the executives. I mean, oh, that kind of contradicts what I said earlier. It's kind of a hard issue, but I mean, we need to formalize that, how that's elected as well, and then outline the duties and things. But I kind of digress there. Um, okay, seeing no more, we're just going to go on to the next item. 5.3, council budget. So, right, looking at the council's budget, we have $2,000. We can request more, but that'll take a bit more documentation. I think I spoke to Gabe about this, and we don't know how exactly it's implemented besides speaking to Anna Riva, as in the past, council's budget was basically just used on pizza parties, which would just be directly funded by the staff at the SFSS office and then given to us. So that's something that would need to be looked into once we do decide on a council budget. But we looked at, I think, workshops in light of some recent concerns by some students. I was discussing with the president, looking at bringing basically a workshop to council regarding, it was from SV, the Sexual Violence Prevention Office. I believe that's the office, SVSPO or SVPO. Basically, just a workshop regarding how sexual violence, affects people, how to um, deal with consent, those kinds of things. I think it might be a bit beneficial for council to undergo that training. So I was thinking of adding that to as an item that we could look at for our budget. I haven't looked into the specifics just yet of how much it would cost, but I imagine it's not going to be too much considering we do have a sizable budget and not a whole lot of ways to spend it right now since we're online. But I was just wanting to hear what your guys' thoughts might be on that.
On the topic of workshops, how do I say this? One thing we focus on in ESSS is mental health workshops, and we usually rely on SFSS's mental health workshop. I believe they hold every year. I don't know if they've done that this year. Is it possible that we could get that going? I don't know if it'd be free. I don't know if we could use our budget for it, or we could grab someone in to talk about mental health. I think that'd be a good resource for me to bring back to ESSS.
That's a good idea, a mental health workshop. Write that down.
Because it's more useful than say a serve it right, a food workshop, because right now we're not having events in person. So a mental health workshop would definitely be more priority right now because we're all stuck at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And
that's a
then
good.
C. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, mental health workshop. I'm thinking the SVPO workshop regarding sexual violence prevention, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
It's really in reply to. I'm not sure if you guys saw this post on Facebook, but there was a student that was concerned just with how SFSS has been handling people who I guess are defended or worked with people who have committed acts of sexual violence or something along those lines. I mean, there were some concerns that were raised, right? And I thought this might be a good idea as something to bring up for the all of council, I guess, just for awareness. I mean, I had discussed it with the president and she thought that might be a good idea as well. So we have these two workshops. I think Corbett suggested a financial literacy workshop. That would be quite beneficial for especially the oversight committee if they're going to be looking into the SFS's finances, just to almost kind of complete sort of an internal audit just to see how the finances are being spent, make sure the board is spending responsibly. So I think that might be beneficial as well. What do you guys think?
I think they're both, or sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. I think they're both good ideas. If we're going to go with the sexual violence prevention workshop, I think it would be a good idea to try to separate it from, I think you're talking about, just to keep people's privacy and safety in check. Yeah, but I think they're both good ideas. I didn't think of the mental health workshop, ironically, but I think that is a good idea, especially in light of COVID and everything going on.
Yeah, I mean, this workshop is separate from that. I mean, it was just something that I think is just important, I think, for all of us to know more about, especially in that we're involved in SFU and the SFSS. It's something that I think counselors should be trained in. And it's also something that can be brought back by council representatives to their DSUs for dealing with, I guess, if there's any kinds of problems that do arise. I mean, this was a policy I remember the SUS was looking to implement in our constitution. I don't think our constitution, but providing some kind of training for executives to also learn how to deal and help with people who may be victims of some sort of abuse, right? If they come to people in their student union, right, that there's just some kind of training to how we can help and support people. So I just think it's something that's useful, and I mean, we do have money for it, so I guess kind of why not?
Back on the topic of spending our budget, I think it's just, given our current responsibilities, there are not a lot of options as to what we can do with our budget. I think that's just something to keep in mind. But the workshops are definitely something I would approve of more. If we need software tools for online meetings, that's another thing we could consider. And since we're limited to $2,000, yeah, we're limited in our options as well. How's the stipends discussion going, if there's any updates?
Regarding the committee stipends, so basically what Corbett had told us, I think he told all of us, right, that we need the committees to have a couple meetings so that there's minutes available to see that they're working, and then a proposal to be sent off to finance committee, and then I think the board would also sign off on it as well. I don't believe the oversight committee has met yet, and what was the other committee's name? I just forgot. Public outreach committee did not have a formal meeting, meaning there was not an agenda or anything yet. So I think once both of the other committees have met, then we can go forward with submitting the proposal, and then also the numbers that we had worked out regarding how much we would potentially spend. So I'm hoping in September around we should be sending that out in next semester.
Yeah. Yeah. Just curious.
Yeah. I mean, there's been also an issue with our current stipends. I mean, this is a little off topic, but yeah. So we haven't had an administrative assistant to go over our minutes and to compile them. So she hasn't been sending them off for the stipends to be sent out as well. So I mean, that also needs to be kind of cleared up. I'm hoping that they'll have the next admin assistant hired and trained soon so that we can get going with those, because there are a lot of minutes that need to be filed and looked over. But yeah, so that's when it comes back to the stipends though, I'm hoping we can get, just once we get the other two committees to have a formal meeting and show that they have content, right? Then we can definitely apply, and I'm quite certain that the board will approve it, especially with the excess that's being left over by the SFSS every year. I mean, they can easily include it in the budget.
Yep.
Yeah, but just looking at our own budget again, so $2,000. I mean, so the way that this is going to work is that we're going to need to look up the prices and then kind of make a little document with the prices that we're looking at spending. So how much will this mental health workshop cost, the SVPO workshop, and the financial literacy workshop? And then any other ideas, have that in a little document. Vote on a motion here to recommend this formally to the council, and then we'll bring it as a motion to council to approve this as our 2020/2021 budget spending, and then it'll basically be approved to be spent from our budget.
Okay.
But yeah, we are kind of hard pressed to find, honestly, it's kind of hard to find ways to spend this because we are online. In person, it could be spent on, I guess, food or
Advertisements, all that.
printing costs, those kinds of things. And I'm just trying to think of ways. I mean, how many counselors do we have? We have roughly 40 that attend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we need, how do I say this? In the event that we need, say, more opinions from the overarching student body from council, we could spend the money to put advertisements on social media because we could promote it as well. But I don't know if we'll need that soon.
Facebook ads?
Yeah, I know that, but I don't know how effective they are, and I don't know if we'll need that anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know. The Facebook page. Oh, yeah. So there's a motion that needs to be passed. I believe is being brought by the Public Outreach Committee regarding the Facebook page, and then the recommendation will be sent to board to also pass it as well. So until that's done, we don't have the Facebook page up and running just yet, but that is something we could potentially look at using that for advertisements. Though I don't know. I've never seen the SFSS use it for anything, use Facebook ads, so I'm not too sure if we should be, but that is something we can look at.
Other than that, nothing comes to mind at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a random idea, but we could get like stickers or something.
I am in support of stickers, actually. Yeah, I'm in support of that, actually.
Right. That'd be pretty interesting, just a little thing to show your membership, and then also to kind of use it as a little bit of advertisement as well, that people can put them on whatever, maybe their books or something, and just show a little appreciation to counselors as well. So I guess we could keep that as an idea. I mean, the budget is not something that's super urgent because the workshops and stuff aren't really urgent either. So this is something we can keep coming back to discuss. We can bring it up with the rest of the governance committee when we meet again.
In terms of the workshops, do we have people responsible for getting that done, or should we make working groups, or what's the plan behind that?
So when it comes to the financial literacy workshop / like the report reading one or something, I'm going to remind Corbett about it. He told me that he was going to reach out to the company that did their workshop for the board. So I'm going to reach out to him again and just ask if he can give me an estimate, and then we can use the estimate for that. The SVPO I'll also read about as well. I think you can go on their website and they have a thing to book a workshop. So I'm going to go through looking at that as well, see if there's any costs associated with it. When it comes to the mental health workshop, I'm not too sure. You said it was by the SFSS. I'm not too sure like how that's run or who runs that. is this something we would do in collaboration with maybe the health and counseling?
I can talk to I have a friend that currently works in health and counseling. I can see what they do and then if they offer any sort of thing. Also, yeah, we could just talk to whoever's on the board to see who actually handles the mental health workshop, because I think it'd be a priority to hold it soon.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea also. So I can ask Gabe as well. So if you can ask your friend, I'll ask Gabe, and then we can see what info we come up with, and maybe try and get an estimate as well. See if we can set up a budget and get things kind of rolling there.
Yeah, so there's this one, and then yeah, and then I'll ask if health and counseling have anything specific that's not from SMSS, but from SFU itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's $20 registration fee. Yeah, so that's cool. That's something we can look at. Council, it's a great idea. Any other ideas for items we can look at for our budget, kind of uses, comments?
I'll send my ideas if I come up with more to the Discord.
Okay, perfect. Seeing no more discussion, we're just going to move to our next item, 6.1, adjournment. Be it resolved to adjourn the meeting at 5:25 p.m. Does anyone move this motion?
I'll move.
Serena moves.
I'll second.
Alvin seconds. All right. Seeing no discussion, we're going to move to vote on this motion. Seeking unanimous consent. If you dissent, please unmute your microphone now. Seeing no objections, this motion passes. All right, thank you guys. Yeah, let me just turn off this recording first. How do I do that?